Okay, let's talk penalties for violating the rule of law. Violations of the rule of law can lead to a wide range of penalties, from fines, imprisonment, and to more severe consequences like removal from office or even death. In some cases, the specific penalty depends on the nature of the violation, its severity, and legal jurisdiction. General penalties, fines, monetary penalties imposed on individuals or organizations found to have violated the law. Imprisonment, confinement in jail or prison ranging from short-term sentences for misdemeanors to lengthy or life sentences for felonies. Probation, a period of supervised release, often with specific conditions, allows individuals to avoid or shorten a prison sentence. Community service, mandatory unpaid work performed for the benefit of the community. License supervision, restitution, requiring the violator to compensate the victim for damages or losses incurred as a result of the violation. Censure, formal expression of disapproval, often used in cases of misconduct by public officials. Removal from office, the termination of a person's position in government or other public service. Disqualification from holding office. Prohibition from holding any future public position. Example of violations and penalties: violent crimes, homicide, rape, robbery. The assault can lead to lengthy prison sentences, including imprisonment or even death penalty in some jurisdictions. Drug offense, production, sale, or use of illegal drugs can result in fines, imprisonment, and other penalties. Public corruption, bribery, embezzlement, and other forms of corruption can lead to imprisonment, fines, and removal from office. Violation of the rules and regulations. Many rules and regulations carry fines and or imprisonment for violations. Violations of civil laws. These can result in financial penalties, injunctions, court orders to stop certain behavior, and other remedies. Violations for civil rights. Deprivation of rights under the color law can lead to imprisonment and other penalties. I talked to you about that, deprivation of rights, conspiracy against rights under the color of law. Violation of corporate laws. These can include hefty fines, imprisonment for individuals involved, and other sanctions. Key considerations: severity of violations. More serious offenses generally carry a harsher penalty. Intent of the violator, whether the violation was intentional or accidental, can affect the penalty. Harm caused by the violations. The extent of harm caused to individuals or society can be a factor in determining the penalty. Jurisdictional differences. Penalties for similar offenses can vary between different states and counties. Rule of law principles. The rule of law is designed to ensure that all individuals and institutions are accountable to and governed by the same laws with fair and consistent application of those laws. The ability of police officers to enforce the laws would be overwhelmed, and the streets of your community would quickly become a chaotic and dangerous place. The rule of law functions because most of us agree that it's important to observe the law, even if police officers are not present or enforce. What is punishment imposed for breaking a law of rule? What would be a violation of the rule of law? A president or public leader directing the Justice Department to target political enemies is a clear breach of the rule of law, an example of weaponizing the department for political gain. The rule of law keeps the powers of government in check. So I had to let that sink in for a minute. What is an example of the rule of law? A key example of the rule of law is when a government official is held accountable for breaking the law just like any other citizen. This demonstrates that no one is above the law, a core principle of the rule of law. Another example is a country having a system where laws are clear, accessible, and applied equally to everyone. Accountability and transparency, holding officials accountable. If a mayor is caught speeding and receives a speeding ticket just like any other citizen, it shows the rule of law is in effect. Independent judiciary, an independent court system that can impartially judge cases, including those involving government officials, is essential. Clear and accessible laws. Laws should be written in a way that ordinary people can understand and follow them. No one is above the law. The rule of law ensures that even those in position of power are subject to the same laws as everyone else. Examples in practice. Traffic laws. Everyone, including government officials, must adhere to traffic laws such as speed limits and traffic signals, even if it's inconvenient, and it ensures road safety. Contracts. When a surgeon performs surgery, they expect to be paid for their services, and a patient expects the surgery to be done competently. This is an example how the rule of law requires agreements are honored. Equal treatment under the law. Law should be applied fairly to everyone, regardless of their background, status, or beliefs. Importance of the rule of law. Social order. The rule of law provides a framework for a stable, predictable society where people can trust that their rights will be protected. Economic development. A strong rule of law can foster economic growth by creating stable environment for business and investments. Protection of rights. The rule of law ensures that fundamental rights and freedoms are upheld and protected for all. Preventing tyranny by limiting the power of government and ensuring accountability. The rule of law helps prevent abuses of power. What happens if you don't follow bylaws? One fact is for sure nonprofit bylaws are considered a legal document that dictates how the organization must be governed. Failure by our board to follow the stipulations outside by the bylaws can have devastating consequences to the organization and potentially even the board members themselves. What is the problem with the rule of law? Generates significant vices of its own in the form of exaggerated legalism and the neglect of political real-world dimensions of legal conflicts. The main problem with the rule of law that it is inconsistently applied, which is true. Laws aren't applied equally to everyone. I mean, you see it all the time. When it comes to sentencing, fines, taxes, so many things. Overview, rule of law. Well, anyways, the question was penalties for violating the rule of law. There are penalties. There are penalties. I was just posting one of my videos on YouTube and seeing some people bringing up the rule of law. It is being violated consistently, daily. And just thought you should know that it's a crime. Violating the rule of law is quite literally violating the oath. The rule of law is the key principle, the foundation of the Declaration of Independence and the fruits of its labor, the United States Constitution. One cannot take the oath and then not abide by it. You know, it's a mandate, separation of powers. We don't have a constitutional crisis. What we have is super predators. In office. Remember all those laws, if you went through all those laws I told you about, you know, they are to do what's in the public interest and maintain the public trust, you know, they're only allowed to ask any lawyers in the preamble, you know, they must do what's in the public interest and maintain the public trust, you know, not self-interest, or parochial interest, or in the interest of the bar, you know. I mean, so many laws you can throw at them. But I mean, you know that you see it. Now that I'm just reading it to you, word for word to the letter. Any other interpretation would be breaking the law. There's violations for violating the letter of the law as well. I just posted that video. Penalties for violating the rule of law. Thank you, people. I want to thank you for listening. Those I've spoken to that are utilizing what I've been sharing with you. You know, every time somebody reaches out and lets me know that it's helping them, I feel blessed. I do. So, but thank you. Thank you, one and all. Have a good night. God bless.